Hello, welcome to Redmen TV. We've been getting asked a lot with the Euros currently on everyone's TV screens and the fact that we've made a little bit of a big deal / joke about it, but this whole Scouse not English thing, a lot of Liverpool fans, of course, know this intrinsically, but a lot of people from outside of Liverpool fans and non-Liverpool fans alike, saying, what is it all about? They don't get it, they've never understood it, that kind of thing. So we've got 4 Scousers in a room together to gauge people's opinions on the whole thing. Chris, what does Scouse not English mean to you?
I don't know, it just means that I'm proud of where I'm from, to be honest with you. I think I am proud of being from Liverpool. I loved it when I went to university over in Leeds and I just got called Scouse. And I don't know, there's obviously stuff that goes on with politics and stuff like that we're heavily entrenched in Labour and all that type of stuff. I don't really feel the connection with London and all that. As far as football goes, I do support England when the major tournaments come on. I think I don't support them anywhere near as much. I don't care anywhere near as much as Liverpool. But that's because Liverpool's pretty much one of the most important things in my life, and I could care less really whether England do well until it actually starts and then I get sucked in.
Yeah, I mean, as Chris sort of touched on there, that is it as simplistic to say it goes back to the 80s, or is it something that's been around for longer than that?
I don't know that it's been, as a phrase, I don't think it's been around much longer than that. I wasn't aware of it before that. And I do think from the 80s, there's been a little bit of a, not just, we are different from people, but that people see us as different. And people, we've had to defend ourselves a lot over the last 30 years. We've been accused of being whinging Scousers, and, we're always maudlin and we're always up to be crying and putting flowers down in the streets and stuff like that. I mean, everyone does that all over the country now, by the way. But,
yeah.
When there's a tragedy, people go and put flowers down. Well, that's more or less, as far as I can see, started around Liverpool, around Hillsborough and, and onwards from there. But so I think we've had our backs to the wall a lot, and I think we've sort of forced us into that position of being Scousers, and defending ourselves. And, we'd get criticised in the press by people who would have a go at us. And we fought back, and we don't allow people to say things now without challenging them on it.
Yeah.
But apart from that, if you go anywhere, as a Scouser, you can go anywhere in the world and you find Scousers.
Yeah.
And they're not, English people, they are Scousers, and they're proud of being Scousers. And
it's an identity thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's the two things. I think it's part that the disconnect between the rest of the country, which I think a lot of it is a political, comes from a political standpoint as well. But also it is that identity of, I think you spot on there, that is that thing of people don't like the English abroad. You know what I mean? I think there's a lot of fear and there's a lot of just distrust and what have you. Whereas if you tell people you're from Liverpool, the demeanour towards you changes entirely, and it is almost like, it's to some extent, it's not quite the same as the Basque or what have you, but it's got that kind of that feeling to it, almost like Liverpool's its own little independent republic to some extent.
It's exactly that. I've got an awful lot to say about this. You may have to rein me in. So
I've got to leave in 10 minutes.
Back in 2008, so when Liverpool were the capital of culture, the Liverpool Culture Company commissioned a thing called Cities on the Edge. It's fantastic. You can find out of it. There was a film about football, a film about a series of portraiture and art, and lots of other events that they did into it. Basically, Marseillans say in French, which I do not know the French for, but Marseillans say Marseillan, not French.
Yeah, je suis Marseille, which
is exactly the same as Scouse, not English. Istanbul, people say, I'm from Istanbul, I'm not from Turkey. And I'm unfortunate, can't remember the other 2 cities who were part of this commission and this study, but they took it from a point of it. And do you know what the main connection with it is? The ports. The major port cities, and the reason why were outward facing.
Yeah.
So when you go back to the 1800s, you go back to the 1750s and stuff, when people who lived in Stoke or Bury or whatever that was called at that time only ever met the people who lived in the inland.
Yeah.
We were having Danes. We're called Scousers because the Norwegians brought over lobscouse, which was their national dish, and started making it because they wanted to eat what they had as a home comfort. So the bars and restaurants of this city started making the lob scarce. As people do, we knocked the lob off the front of it. We started mispronouncing. I'm a Scouser, I mispronounce a lot of words. You can see where it comes from. We turned it from scarce into Scouse. That's what we're named after. We're named after a Norwegian national dish which originated in here around about 1820. So it's because we're outward facing. We interacted with people who weren't from England more than we did.
We had the oldest Chinese community in Europe.
We've got the oldest
in
Chinese
Liverpool,
community.
you know.
We've got the oldest Yemenis community. You walk down Jamaica Street. It's called Jamaica Street. Why? Because that was the road you walked along to get to Jamaica, because you jumped on a boat at the end of it, sailed off to Jamaica. So on Jamaica Street, there is a Swedish church. There is a Greek Orthodox church. There's a Greek Catholic church. There's a Norwegian church. There is a Russian church. There's a synagogue. There's a mosque. They are about 200 years old. You go abroad, you travel, you meet people from other cities, and people go, oh, go get to see the mosque. And I'm like, why? Because I've seen mosques all my life. They don't have that in the city that they grew up in. The reason why that's there on Jamaica Street is you did one of two things. You got off the boat and then you went and repented for your sins, and then you went to a whorehouse or you went into a pub and got drunk. You actually look at the layout of old Liverpool. It's one long street and there's all these churches and synagogues and there's all the bars and brothels on the other side of the road. Depending on how horny or thirsty you were, you either went to church first and then to the brothel, or you went the other way.
Yeah.
But if you're from a city that had an influx of people, and we're not the only people, but other cities in the world have got that, but as a port city, if you have an influx of people coming in, you get to see...
You have more of a connection with the outside world.
The outside world than the other world. And when you've got people who are xenophobic towards you, when you've got elements of racism or elements of Little England, which is an expression that we have, in small time mentality, or people who just want to shit on you, which was massively ramped up towards the 80s in this country, in
Like
this city.
Boris Johnson and his article in The Spectator.
Or Boris Johnson. But you know, when you get cut off, you actually go, well, no, I don't like that. And you look at this Brexit argument at the moment, most of it is failed because they don't interact with people from other cities. If you actually live in this city, which is now built on tourism, it used to be built on the port, we meet people all the time. You can go and have a drink. But also, because we were a seafaring city, we moved away, and that's what happened. So we actually have it in our blood to travel and to move away.
From a, I mean, just bringing it back to the football though as well. I exactly what Chris said there. I never had a problem with England as such. I've never enjoyed the friendlies. I've never seen the point of them, because ultimately, you in Liverpool, you club first. Always. I don't know anyone who's born and bred in Liverpool, and that's Evertonians as well, who don't put club over country. And that's true for most people who support big teams, I think, in general. But for me, it's that thing of, I think it all feeds into the same thing. For England, it's like it's singing a national anthem where I've got no connection to the Queen. I don't feel, Liverpool doesn't have any real, doesn't have that affinity with the monarchy like people in parts of the country do.
We changed it to God Save Our Team, didn't we?
Exactly. I feel more passion from a song like You'll Never Walk Alone than I would ever do from the national anthem. And ultimately, it's...
But you're more inclined to watch England, if you're like me, if there are Liverpool players playing.
That was where my granddad taught me about it when I was growing up, because with my dad being an Everton fan, England used to be the unification between us, so I used to get really involved up until about the age of about 24, 25, and I just got bored of them being shit. But my granddad explained it was pre-TV rights. What happened was they used to have to sell out Wembley.
Yeah.
So what they would do is, even though Liverpool were the best team in the country and had a lot of English players that could be eligible, same with Man United at the time, they just picked Tottenham, they'd pick West Ham, they'd pick Arsenal players, because they had to sell it to local fans, and the local fans didn't want to go and watch a bunch of Scousers or a bunch of Mancs or players who played for them. They wanted to see their players play. Yeah. So there was around about the 50s and the 60s, there was a sense of injustice on a football level that good players who played for Liverpool didn't get picked, or Forest or Derby, and it was players from London. It was a London team for London people, and that's where a lot of Northern, and I know for a fact my granddad still holds on to that. He's an 88-year-old man now, but he still goes, England, and he'll watch it because he watches any football, but he doesn't have that passion because he doesn't see it as being for him.
I was saying, ultimately, when it comes down to the football side of things, is that it's the Wembley thing as well. It's hard to feel connected to a football club that you don't get to see. And when Wembley was being built, and England were on tour around the country. They played at Anfield, they played Paraguay. We went to watch that. It was a good game, and I actually enjoyed going to see England. But you know, there is very much that thing. There is already a north-south divide. There's a Liverpool-north divide to some extent, and then you've got this football team that plays this mad anthem about some crazy old lady who just takes all your money every year. It lives in a big house down south, and it's full. You know what I mean? And it's so inaccessible that there isn't that thing. But ultimately, as you said, when it comes to major tournaments, I always take an interest in England.
The tournaments are always more interesting if England are still in it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Ultimately, I think what it boils down to surmise, I guess it is that it does come from a city thing of Liverpool generally feeling like a world unto itself and having that disconnect with the rest of the country. So it isn't a serious thing, but it is like it's a badge of honour to some extent. It's like taking the stigmatisms and the separation that other people have almost created for us to some extent and wearing it.
If they vote for Brexit, maybe we'll just have to rejoin
the Republic of Liverpool.
Yeah, Europe on our own.
I'd be happy with that. So there you go. I don't know if that's cleared it up for anyone, but if it hasn't, unlucky. That's all you're getting. Thoughts or if there's anything else that if you are from Liverpool, and let us know your thoughts on the whole Scouse not English thing in the comments below, if you wouldn't mind. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and check out some amazing subscriber shows over on the RedmenTV.com, including the Reds transfer news roundup, all Liverpool's transfer news each week in one place. It's amazing.